Black Power people, Black Power people. I'm back with another video. Something that's very enlightening. Black people, when I speak on history, we should pay attention to history. As black people, we need to go back and read everything as it relates to history of this world, history of certain nations around the planet. And as we study, we'll find out the truth, why certain things are the way they are in life. Let's talk about the untouchables, Zionists. And the reason why I'm going to speak on this, because it's a very dramatic political gesture of America, Israel, to establish itself since 1948 with the help of America and Great Britain and all other European nations around the world to put this nation intact. And what am I talking about? I call it the synagogue of Satan, the Zionists. And I'm not anti-Semitic. I'm not anti-Semitic, but if you follow history, you would know the political conversion to Judaism was to manipulate the power in the world using the branch of religion, which all people from different races, backgrounds, and culture have used religion as a cover to obtain or to meet its needs. Whatever the criteria that one must meet: money, political power, keep the people of the world asleep. Religion has been that branch that reached out to keep a lot of people brainwashed. It is a shame that black people are not educated enough to know what's going on around this world. Since everybody sucked the blood of black people, symbolically sucked the blood of black people to live and survive and continue to live prestigious upon the planet based off African black labor, based on black ignorance, black people's ignorance, not to question and not to study the enemy. The Jews around the world, the European Jews around the world, have no connection by bloodline or no connection genetically to the land they call Israel today. These people are from a nomadic tribe, a Turkish tribe that had major commercial power, empire in Europe, such as Ukraine, southern sections of Ukraine, and European Russia. These are where these people are genetically from. That's why in Israel, no European Jew is allowed to take its DNA, because the DNA will go back to the landmass of Europe. They have no historical connection to Israel until 1948. They have no culture alliance to what they call Israel today. It was not called the Middle East in its ancient times. It is part of Africa. So you know what the ancient people of so-called Israel, Palestine looked like. They were darker than all the people that's there today. So do your studies, do your research before you take white lies and run with them as if they're historical data fact. The Khazar dynasty, 3 centuries, had rulership in what you call Europe. From 650 to 965 AD, the Khazars were in Europe, the Caucasus Mountain. They converted to Judaism in the 9th, 10th century. So what we have, family, is white people converting to a religion. This is not a separate race from white people. Just like you have different types of black people around the world, but we all are related one way or another. Just like Italian Jews, they are white people. When I say Italian Jew, that means that you converted to what a religion called Judaism. So these people have no historical lineage to Israel, what they call Israel today. No slavery was ever in Egypt. Why did they make Egypt bad in the Bible? Because Egypt was black land. Abraham, Johnny come lately, the pyramids was up at least 700 years until this so-called Abraham was born. I cannot trust the Bible that has been in the hands of the Greeks and the Romans. I cannot trust a Quran that was in the hands of the same people who enslaved black people. Every religion is used as a political reason. It's used as a political reason to keep dominance over the people's mental health. If you could control the people mentally, you don't have to worry about the people revolting physically, long as they live that lie. Black people been living this lie ever since 1948. Black people believe that white European people who have no connection to the land they call Israel today, genetically, $5 Indian. What is a $5 Indian? When the USA government was giving land back to the Indian Native American white people to get free land, claimed that they were Indian descent, and someone from the government tipped off the Caucasian people, if you want free land, say that you are Indian. What is a pretendian? Now, a pretendian is someone who is anti-African and they hate themselves. They may have a little Asian blood or what they call Indian blood running through their bloodline. And they claiming nothing but Cherokee. That is a pretendian. A pretendian say the slave trade didn't happen out of Africa. That is a pretendian. What is the real Indians? The Eskimo. Them are the real Indians. The Mexicans that are here in Mexico. The Indians or the Mexicans. Black people. You cannot take the Native Americans' history and interwoven it as your culture. A lot of Indians participated in the slave trade. I don't want to get off track. I just want to say how people could pretend and use other people's culture and use it as a political movement, a political maneuver. So right now, the pretendians are making money off black people who want to be part of their tribe. And this black person have 9 ether, dark pigmentation, an African characteristic and feature, facial feature. When you're looking at the Eskimos, looking at the Hawaiian people, them are the ones who came from Asia 16,000 years ago. When the Asians got to America 16,000 years ago, the black man, woman, and child was already here in this country. Not all people are descended from people who came through the slave trade. Some of our people was already here, as the pretendian likes to say. But the pretend Indian won't tell you that these Africans had maritime provision and skill to navigate to the Americans from Africa. They don't want to give the African props for doing such fleet. Christopher Columbus, navigator, was African. Not to get off track, but I'm just saying how people try to take other people's culture and proclaim it for themselves. Just like the presidents of the United States, all of them that were Masons, they're imitating the black Masonic Masons that were in Kemet. The first Masons, they got the teachings from Kemet, and they switched it around and made it so evil. And you think the pyramid is evil because somebody stole our signs, our symbols, our culture, and rearranged it. So when you see George Washington and the so-called politicians in his day wearing the wig, the wool wig was imitating the African Egyptian. So when you see those brothers and sisters in South Africa, when they in court, we talking about the judge, the prosecutor, even the lawyers, the whole cabinet sitting around wearing the George Washington wig, the European look, or the monarchy of Great Britain's court, where they wore the wig imitating the African. So when you see your brothers and sisters in South Africa doing that in the courts and in their parliament, wearing the wig, they're imitating Europeans, imitating the African in the ancient times. When you see George Washington wearing the apron, he's trying to wear the apron, the kilt, the African kilt that we wore in Egypt. You see what I'm saying? The imitators. So what we got here is some fake, what they call Jews. Those who say them Jews is not Jews. In the book of John, Jesus, the character they say Jesus, say those who say they're Jews are not Jews. They are synagogue of Satan. So that's what you're dealing with when you're dealing with Zionists. Check this video out.
Talk about it. Ladies and gentlemen, my DNA. Now, I bet you thought it was going to be a lot crazier than that, right? Now, you might ask yourself, why is it illegal to obtain this in the state of Israel? Because it proves through your DNA that Jews around the world have no ancestral ties to the land of Israel. Because it proves through your DNA that Jews around the world have no ancestral ties to the land of Israel.
We Jews have been in the land of Israel since the times of biblical Joshua.
Who is we? No, really, who is we? You live in Israel, so I don't expect you to be able to provide genetic or ancestral receipts for your claims about us Jews, because those kinds of receipts are illegal in Israel without a court order and other special permissions. The Jerusalem Post explains such a thing cannot exist as kits sold directly to the public, going on to say that they have possible effects on subjects and their families. Furthermore, the national implications of these tests could hold or affect, nice grammar Jerusalem Post, could hold or affect with Israel being a government-recognized Jewish state. Don't you just love when they say the quiet parts out loud? But since they won't let you get receipts for us Jews, I brought my own. Wow. So I, an Ashkenazi, have no genetic or ancestral ties to the region of historic Palestine. I, an Ashkenazi, have no genetic or ancestral ties to the region of historic Palestine. And yet Israel still claims it's my homeland, which I could move to and become a citizen of under the ironically named Law of Return.
Have you heard of the Kuzalim?
Yeah, that's us. That's me, actually.
Okay, so what is your... this is a question that comes from outside of Israel. What is your opinion about the theory that Ashkenazim came from Kuzalim?
It seems relevant. It's quite obvious that white Jewish people, Ashkenazim from Europe, are not genetically, as much as I can tell, I'm not an expert, but they don't look the same like Arab Jews, people that came from Arab countries, and Ethiopians. I don't think there's a lot of, there may be some genetic relations, but there's a lot of genetic differences, and any theory that says that we're not genetically come from the same ancestors makes sense to me. Makes sense.
Ashkenaz is one of the Gentile nations. Now, 80 to 85% of today's so-called Jewry, those who claim to be Jews in the world today, 80 to 85% of them are what is known as Ashkenazi Jews. And an Ashkenazi Jew is so named because he primarily descends from this guy in the Bible named Ashkenaz, which is clearly listed as one of the Gentile nations. Now, the reason for this is that there was a nation of people who were Europeans, white people, known as the Khazars. And in the 8th century after Christ, the whole nation of the Khazars turned unto Judaism. They converted to the religion of Judaism. Of course, it was a false, Christ-rejecting religion. And for a few hundred years, the empire of the Khazars was a power in Eastern Europe, and they followed the religion of Judaism. But eventually they were defeated by the Russians, and they were scattered into Eastern Europe. And so a lot of the Eastern European Jews today are the descendants of the Khazars.
And so a lot of the Eastern European Jews today are the descendants of the Khazars.
Europeans can hide behind the cloak of Judaism and commit crimes. You people believe they God's chosen people. God's chosen people supported the apartheid regime that was in South Africa. Israel supported South Africa regime. John Volster, Nazi sympathizer, was the prime minister in the 60s during the apartheid regime in South Africa, where de Klerk and the boys, the Dutch, the British, all got together and invaded Africa many years ago. The Israel people, the untouchable people, they cemented their ties with the apartheid regime in South Africa. They supported it. They even gave the Dutch, the British, the Irish military might to continue its domination in South Africa. You also had the Germans there in South Africa. But the Israeli military gave military might, such as weaponry, to Israel, to South Africa, whites, to kill the dominant population of black people in South Africa. South Africa today is calling Netanyahu a war criminal. South Africa is asking that Netanyahu of Israel be charged with war crimes. But no one is charging Israel with war crimes, and she's committing war crimes. What is the relationship with the United States with the untouchables? Every year, they get free aid from the United States of America, $1 billion. When the untouchables own everything in the world, what they gonna do with $1 billion every year? And Congress just passed another package to send to Israel while the American people suffer. Mash up the likes, share the video. Black Power.